Okay, so here's the one you guys tried. And so um, kind of see our formula is right there. And here's our temperature. Here's our delta H. Here's our delta S. Now, see, this one's a little easier because they gave you delta S. You didn't have to solve for it. So, like the problem that I did before this, I had to solve delta S from the chart. They gave it to you. So, only thing we got to worry about is this unit. We're gonna have to convert that. Everything else is pretty straightforward. So, I'm gonna say I'm gonna take my delta S. That's gonna equal negative 129.1, and that's joules. And then I'm going to go ahead and convert that into kilojoules. And so then that, make sure I remember my negative sign here. So we're going to go 3 spots to the left. And so 0.1291. So just bump that thing 3 spots to the left. And then off we go. We've got our kilojoules. So we should be good. So let's plug in our delta G. See what you got. Delta G. It's going to be the 409 kilojoules minus the temperature, 298. And that's multiplied by the S value, which is the negative 0.1291 kilojoules per mole. Forgot my per mole over here. I could do it like this if I want to guess. Means the same thing. Anyway, so then we're just going to run it through and we'll get an answer. Let me just fix my unit. It's bothering me. Okay, let's run it through. That's it. Like you just literally plug them in. So get a question like this on the test. I mean, that is pretty darn easy. So 298 times negative 0.1291. And we're going to run that through and we're going to get an answer. Now, once again, is it plus or minus is a big deal. And so when I write this answer, I'm going to write plus, like the big plus sign, 447. It looks like 3 sig figs. I think I dropped a sig fig over here. But anyway, go 447 is fine. And that is positive. So this is, we would say it's plus 447 and not spontaneous, meaning that this particular one is not going to function. So like if you had a test question, it might say like, what's the value for delta G and is it spontaneous or not? So, I mean, both of these are good test type questions. This one's a little more work. Example 20. Example 20B is a little bit easier. So, okay. So let's go ahead and move on. Show you this. This is also fairly straightforward, where you've got delta G values, but now look, we're solving them with products minus reactants. So I've been telling you this for multiple videos now, multiple sections, that this concept of products minus reactants comes up over and over and over. And then here it is once again. All right. So let's go ahead and do this. You do have to check to make sure they're balanced, which it is. So that one is balanced. So products minus reactants And so we're going to go ahead and run through this. And so it says use the standard free energies of formation from the appendix to determine the standard free energy of change at 25 degrees Celsius for the following reactions. And so these are the free energies of formation right here. And so we're going to go ahead and run that through. So products minus reactants. So carbon tetrachloride is right here. So we're going to go 1 times negative 60.63, all right, plus sulfur, right? So sulfur's not there. Sulfur's in its elemental state. So elemental state is 0. So one thing is if you don't see it in the chart, it's going to be 0. So like if you're like, oh, there's no sulfur, well, that's because it's going to be a 0. So that'll do. So there's your products. And we can put a bracket around that. Okay, subtract the reactants. And we've got 1 multiplied by the CS2, which is 65.27. And then we're going to add that. So I'm going to slide this down a bit. 2 times negative 31.8. And that one is right there. So guys, products minus reactants, that's really, it's like super straightforward here. You just take the delta G values, you stick them in, you get an answer, and there you go. I mean, pretty simple if you have a chart. So let's go ahead and do this. It's going to be negative 60.63 plus 0. Okay, it's obviously not going to do anything. Minus, in parentheses, 1 times 65.27 plus 2 times negative 31.8. So make sure your order of operations are in good shape. So once again, using your parentheses is really important. And so then the answer I got is negative 62.3, right? And so, and we can use kilojoules for that. So negative 62.3, which we would say is spontaneous, because delta G is negative. Okay, so there is your answer. So this is something I think you guys should be able to handle. It is not particularly difficult. It's one of the easier things that we've done in the unit because there's no conversions. So go ahead and try B. I am going to tell you before you try B and make a mistake that you do need to balance this. So we always got to check to see if it's balanced. Like this one was balanced because they gave you some coefficients, but this next one may or may not be balanced. So, all right, pause it, give it oral.